Is our metal extraction, and obviously humans use metals a lot: gold, silver, magnesium, platinum, iron, and so on, titanium, whatever. And they're all very common. But where do we get them from? So we can find some metals in the ground. For example, gold you can just pick up off the floor if you can see it. It's very unreactive, so it just kind of sits there as gold. Now other metals are combined in a rock and what we call an ore. So a metal and a rock all combined together in a rock. And obviously we have to get the metals out of the rocks, otherwise we can't use them. So there are two methods to do this. The first method that possibly people know from, like, I don't know, Bronze Age and the Iron Age and everything else, is you burn those rocks with the metal inside it in loads of carbon, so loads of coal, make them really hot at very high temperatures, and we get it out. Or two, you make the rocks a liquid, molten, and then you use electrolysis. Now, obviously, which method we use depends on the type of metal, and I'll explain why. So which ones do we choose? It depends on the reactivity series, and that will be on the last slide that we will show you here. So when you see it, you'll see that carbon is on that reactivity series. So anything that is less reactive than carbon, so below it on the reactivity list, we burn in coal to extract the metal, to take the metal out of the rock. Anything above carbon, we can't use burning it in coal because it won't work, so we have to use electrolysis. Now, there are some words to remember. The first one is oxidization. Simply means when something gains oxygen. So if carbon, in some reaction, changes into carbon dioxide with two oxygens, it gains oxygen, so it is oxidized. In this context, carbon has been oxidized and become carbon dioxide. However, the opposite, if carbon dioxide becomes just carbon, it is reduced, it loses oxygen. So oxidization is anything that gains an oxygen, and reduction is anything that loses an oxygen in any type of reaction. So anything that gains oxygen is oxidized, anything that loses oxygen is reduced. Very key point. Now, extracting metals is very, very expensive and very bad for the environment. It causes a lot of pollution, so it is better to recycle and reuse metals already extracted. It's cheaper and better for the environment. Two huge reasons why we recycle metals again and again and again and again. In fact, there are people that will dive on sunken ships to bring the metal back because it's literally cheaper to bring a boat up from the bottom of the ocean than to extract it from a rock. Very cool. Now, this is the reactivity series. Anything below carbon, we burn the ore, the rock with the metal inside, in coal, which is obviously just carbon. Anything above carbon, we use electrolysis, and this is the reactivity series, most reactive at the top. So potassium, sodium, lithium, calcium, magnesium, aluminium, then carbon, zinc, iron, and then we've got copper, silver, and gold at the bottom, which you can probably just find lying around if you're lucky enough. Now, if you put potassium in water, it'll explode. If you put gold in water, nothing happens. So they also, as you go down, they become less and less reactive. So near the top, they're very reactive with waters and acids. Down the bottom, they do naff all.